Back here on the Bernie and Sid Show, heard everywhere on the 77 WABC app. I have a new podcast out, episode 6. It's called Trigger Please, episode 6 of Trigger Please. And you're going to enjoy it, folks. Go to WABCRadio.com or iTunes, wherever you can get a podcast. It's out. And we are honored right now, Sydney and myself, to have in studio. This man is he's a decorated former lieutenant commander in the Navy SEALs, an Iraq War veteran. He was awarded the Silver Star, the Bronze Star. He participated in the bloody Battle of Ramadi, among other things. And he's a successful author is what he is. And his name is Jocko Willink. Jocko, welcome back to the Bernie and Sid Show.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Good to be here.
Always great to have you on. No, we've noticed that you've gotten rid of Leaf. This is no longer a two-man team. That's it. You're the star now. Leaf Babin, see ya. You're done, right? Is that it?
No. Leif's, we're still business partners. We teach leadership all over the country together. We're still getting after it.
Gotcha. Well, you guys are a great 1-2 team, and as you told Bernie and I just moments ago, you're here to discuss, for the most part, your new book, Leadership Strategy and Tactics, Field Manual. This is now book number 8 for you. Jocko, that's incredible. 4 adult books and 4 kid books. I mean, look at you. You're like big-time author, big time. 8 books.
You're like Dickens of the Navy SEALs, for God's sake, with the books.
Let's not get crazy.
Take it easy, Sid. No, listen, so this book here, Leadership Strategy and Tactics, tell us a bit about it.
You know, so I've written a few leadership books with Leif and talk about the principles of leadership. The thing is, as I go around the country and work with companies, we got a leadership consulting company. As I do that, I get asked the same questions over and over again. And what I realized is people didn't really make the connection between, okay, here's the principles, but how do I actually apply them? It's like if you're playing basketball, it's pretty easy to understand that what you're trying to do is, put the ball through the hoop, but there's a bunch of little things you got to know how to do. You got to know how to dribble. You got to know how to do a layup. You got to know how to shoot a jump shot. You got to know how to pass the ball. So there's things you actually need to know how to do. And it's the same thing with leadership. There's techniques you can use. There's tools you can use. There's strategies and tactics that you can use. So I took all the ones that I've used for my career. I put them all in the book so somebody can open up the book, find whatever problem they're having from a leadership perspective, and find the solution there too.
Sometimes with leadership, though, it's not one way or the highway. And I use football for the most part as an analogy because you have football coaches that yell and scream and they intimidate you and the guys win. And then you have a guy like Tony Dungy, for example, who's about the nicest, sweetest guy. I don't think he ever raised his voice ever. And he won a Super Bowl, too. I guess my point is that there's not just one way to do it. Your way may work for you, but there are different ways that you can lead.
Yeah, and also when you're leading different people at different times, you got to modulate the techniques that you have as a leader. You just can't treat everyone the exact same way because some people do respond well when you get fired up at them. Yeah. That's what they need. Some people you get fired up at them and all of a sudden they break down.
They start to cry.
Right. Yeah. So you got to use, you got to modulate your strategies and tactics to suit the people that you're dealing with.
I mean, you go into detail. Jocko Willink, the book is called Leadership, Strategy, and Tactics. Jocko, a former decorated Navy SEAL, and thank you for your service, by the way, very much.
It was an honor.
But you go through in detail on how to lead, and one of the more interesting chapters or portions of the book are leaders born or made. I mean, not everybody is a leader, and not everybody can be a leader. I mean, and how do you distinguish between who's what?
Well, different. Everyone has some leadership capability, right? Some people have more than others that they're born with. The thing is, you can get better as a leader. And that's another reason why I wrote this book. Cause look, not everyone's born, Ronald Reagan with all these leadership or General Patton. They got all these leadership qualities. It doesn't happen, but people get put in leadership positions. Right. So what this book does is allows you, even though you might have some deficiencies as a natural leader, this can make up for the slack by teaching you some tactics to actually use when you're leading.
I got to think that of all the jobs that we've had, you specifically, real leadership jobs, I mean taking men and putting them in a very difficult position. But the President of the United States, that is certainly a job of leadership. Does Donald Trump need to read your book, or is he doing okay?
I would love for Donald Trump to read my book.
Does he need to read your book, though?
I think anybody that's in a leadership position needs to read this book. And you watch Donald, look, he does some stuff and you go, wow, that was an impressive move. That was a bold move. The next day he sends out a tweet to somebody that doesn't matter. You say, hey, did you really need to do that?
Yeah.
But you know what? That's what he's doing.
No, that is. Listen, some of us love that about him. Some people hate it. I happen to love it. And speaking of which, You fought in the Battle of Ramadi. You were an Iraq War veteran, as I pointed out, other battles as well. His recent decision, that leadership decision, I should say, watch my words here, to take out this terrorist, this gay-hating, Jew-hating, American soldiers, blood on his hands, terrorist Soleimani, his bold decision to do that. What did you think about all that?
Yeah, you're right. That was a very bold decision. And you talked about, him being an enemy of the Jews and an enemy of the gays and an enemy of America. And what you left out is that guy's an enemy of the people of Iran. This
so
guy
true.
is killing his own people, which is what makes you think when people say, oh, he was what do they call him, this head of state from another country. This guy is a terrorist. He's a horrible person. Now, it was a very bold decision because, look, we've been scared, and I hate to use that word talking about America. We've been scared about what the Iranians will do in a situation if we go after them. We've been scared of that for 40 years. And Trump said, okay, well, we're going to do something. And he did. And from everything you can see, from the Iranian response, which was weak, and the Iranian people now starting to rise up and realize you couldn't write a better end to that story. So right now it looks like it was a gamble. And I called it a gamble the other day, and people are saying, you really want a guy gambling with our national security? It's like, hey, every time you do a military operation, there's a gamble. It's a risk. You don't know what's going to happen in it. He took a gamble. It paid off. And it's to say, you got to say the same thing for Obama. Obama sent SEALs in to kill bin Laden.
True.
And guess what? Hey, and I heard people after that happened said, well, it wasn't Obama, it was the SEALs. Yeah, we all get that. But Obama made that decision. It's a huge risk when you conduct an operation like that. And in both those cases, it turned out well.
In fact, Biden was against Joe Biden, who's running for president now, was actually against that decision. So it wasn't a slam dunk. There was debate. There was dissent in the decision-making process with Obama. So, yeah, the leaders make decisions, bold decisions, take risks.
And by the way, Trump's made two of those, not just Soleimani, but he took out Baghdadi too. And that was also very, very risky. Caves underground, you have the dog and all that stuff. But that was a very difficult operation.
Yeah,
very.
Yeah, and Donald also, he sent us after ISIS. He said, guys, I want ISIS dead, and gave, pulled off the reins and said, go get him. Yes. And our American servicemen and our Iraqi counterparts went over there, and we killed 40,000 ISIS members. And all these people would say, oh, you can't kill an ideology. Oh, watch this.
He took the handcuffs off guys like you who want to do your jobs. The rules of engagement changed, and he crushed them in a matter of months, essentially. And what do you think about Jocko Willink, the book, again, Leadership, Strategy, and Tactics? Jocko Willink, he's a decorated former Navy SEAL, I should put it that way. What do you think about the reaction? The reaction on the part of a lot of the media and the left actually siding with the enemy, taking the enemy's side with a guy who has the blood of American soldiers on his hands. I mean, didn't that not make you nauseous?
Let me just make that real clear, what you just said, the blood of Americans on his hands. This guy was producing special IEDs to send into Iraq while we were there fighting that killed hundreds and hundreds of Americans. That's what he did. Anybody that sides with this guy is crazy. And the only thing that they hate is they hate the fact that Donald Trump did something good, and they don't want to give it any positivity whatsoever.
Soleimani was looking to kill you. You were there during that period.
Yeah, absolutely. I know guys that were killed by those types of IEDs. So that guy, I hope he burns in hell.
Absolutely.
Do you think that when you talking about leadership, do you think that cheating is a really, really bad thing? I just say that because I'm looking at the cover of the New York Post today, Cheat the Mets, and I know we're talking about important stuff, Donald Trump and Iraq and soldiers and all that stuff, but if you can get away with it, you can win. You think cheating is a part of leadership?
Okay, well, if you're talking about in war, there's no cheating. There's no cheating.
Right.
But you can do things that are they're gonna take away from your victory. Like you could do things on the battlefield. If you treat people the wrong way, whatever, then you could have a problem.
Give me an example.
There was a saying that we had going through SEAL training, and there was two sides to this. Someone would say, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Right? They'd say, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Then we had kind of the other side, which we eventually got told, which is what I believe. If you're cheating, you're cheating yourself. So you have to think about that as well. If you win a victory and you didn't play by the rules, guess what? You don't get credit for that.
You don't?
No.
Is it a win-win?
No, not if you cheated to get there.
Okay.
Integrity's, I'd rather lose all day long. I got 4 kids. If my kids came home from a sport game or took a test on something and they did well, but I knew they cheated, that's not a victory for me, and they would learn that real quick.
You got to see Jocko Willink. He looks like a light heavyweight UFC fighter.
He does.
Tip-top, badass shape. So, by the way, the UFC, are you a fan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're looking at Cowboy Cerrone and Conor McGregor tomorrow night.
Yeah, we can talk about politics. We can talk about a lot of subjects. That's one I don't want to make a call on, man. It's a tough one. Especially, I know both the coaches in that situation, and I know we're going to have a great fight. I'm looking forward to watching.
You're not worried about Conor McGregor's inactivity? I mean, Cowboy Cerrone fights every week, this tough bastard.
Yeah, and you know what that does? That hurts your chin. You don't get better at getting punched in the head. When you get knocked out,
That's true.
It hurts.
And his last fight against, and this is inside the UFC, Justin Gaethje, he lost to that guy. I mean, so he is starting to slip. It seems to me, Cowboy. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to buy it, even if it's $84. I don't care. But Jocko Willink, I got to say, thank God for men like you in this country. That's all I have to say. A former Navy SEAL, decorated lieutenant commander, Iraq War veteran. The book is Leadership, Strategy, and Tactics by Jocko Willink. Very interesting book on leadership. Goes into great detail. It's a pleasure having you in studio. Thank you. And
Thanks
good luck.
for having me on.
Great to
Appreciate
see
it, guys.
you, pal. It's always great to see you.
Thanks.
Jocko Willink, again, like Bernie just said, Leadership, Strategy, and Tactics, Field Manual. All his books are great. All 8 of them. We recommend you go buy this book and go buy it today. More of Bernie and Sid on a Friday.